Elon Musk, you didn't create USAID. The United States Congress did for the American people. And just like Elon Musk did not create USAID, he doesn't have the power to destroy it. And who's going to stop him? We are. We're going to stop him.
USAID cannot be created or destroyed, only altered, or is that matter? Lara Logan, where do you stand on the USAID story?
Well, I got to be honest, Jamie Raskin is disgusting to me. He is one of the most awful human beings on the face of the earth. He's pathetic. And why do I dislike him so much? Well, because he was one of the chief architects of the persecution and the cover-up following January 6th, who felt nothing to tear apart families and destroy lives and put innocent people behind bars. So I find my skin crawling having to listen to him. But the funny part there is he says that the Congress created USAID for the American people. No, USAID is a foreign aid, international aid agency, right? So it wasn't created for the American people. Most of the American people had very little idea that USAID even existed before this happened. Most of the American people had no idea that their money, their tax dollars, were being taken to fund things like, George Soros's fund to install prosecutors that follow their ideology and that you can see their handiwork in San Francisco, which has been destroyed, New Orleans, which is down the toilet, and so on and so on and so on, right? Most Americans, the majority that voted Donald Trump into power, do not support George Soros or the Open Society Foundations or any of the groups in his affinity network. And so they are shocked to discover that hundreds of millions of dollars of their blood, sweat, and tears is being used to finance things that they regard as basically slitting their own throats. So when Jamie Raskin and these people, they talk about oversight, they didn't do any oversight of USAID. In fact, what USAID did was bypass Congress. They bypassed oversight. And they created the power unconstitutionally and against the law. They created the power for these satellite offices of USAID that was spread all over the world to completely bypass everyone and get money directly. You know what really irks me, Russell, is I have to say this. People are very cavalier about American tax dollars. I am not. Because I live in a beautiful tourist town in one of the wealthiest counties in Texas. And the vast majority of people living here do not take a vacation because they can't afford it. Most of the kids that come to my house, and there's 20 or 30 of them every weekend, have never been on an airplane. And it's not because, as many Europeans think, they're a bunch of ignorant Americans who don't give a shit about the rest of the world and think America is so great, I don't need to travel. They can't afford to travel. They can't afford to go outside the borders of the United States. They can't afford to fly from one state to another state. Most of them don't have medical insurance because their families can't afford it. Okay? These, I cannot say it strongly enough. I don't have a fancy house. And a lot of these kids, when they come to my house, they've never seen anything like it. And many of these kids are white. Some of them are Hispanic. I live in a mostly white town. I'm not going to apologize for it. It just happens to be the case, But obviously, we have a lot of Hispanic people here. And my kids have lots of Hispanic friends, and so do I. But, this is not a Hispanic, or this is not a racial thing. This is American kids of American parents. Their parents they always work. They often work more than one job, and they live just to survive and exist. They can get by if they don't ever get sick, and they don't ever need to see a doctor, or they don't ever get hurt. But if anything goes wrong, they're in real, real trouble. These people, it's their tax dollars. It's their blood and their sweat and their tears and their sacrifices. They have been denigrated. They've been dismissed. They've been disregarded. They have been targeted. They're treated like they're absolutely worthless. Until when? until somebody wants to, they want their tax dollars to pay for my kid. I'm some elite person in Washington, D.C., but somehow I don't think my kid should have this tax burden, this burden of their fees from college. So the American taxpayer can just pay for it. The American taxpayer can finance, let me see, trans operas in Serbia. Do you know that program was $50 million they were funneling into LGBTQ causes outside of congressional oversight into Serbia? You know, the kind of things that they have been financing, it's not just these outrageous programs that overseas in foreign countries. It's not just that you're paying for children in foreign countries to get scholarships and to go to university, but you're not doing that for American kids. It's not just that Americans don't believe in many of these things. It's that what you've done is you have taken the United States government and you've used it as a slush fund to finance an ideology that is profound, that ultimately is the death of everything that these people who are paying for it actually believe in. And you've done it in darkness. You've hidden what you're doing from the American people. And so any person who's standing up now and says, oh, how dare Elon Musk do this, and how dare we have to stop this tyranny, and we need oversight, we need to know what they're doing. It's incredible to me. As usual, they never want to address the substance of what you're dealing with. And of course, what they also don't want to address is that the president, through his executive order, when you are violating the law, as the USAID has been doing, they've been violating the law over and over again. They've been money laundering to all these affinity groups and all these NGOs, and they have been pushing this through. They've been stealing from the American people, and also that they can keep these people subjugated. Americans are very giving people. You only have to look at philanthropic rates to know they don't like people to suffer, and they're willing to help. But no one's been helping them. The quality of their life has been going down and down and down. Almost none of the kids that I know had Christmas. One of the kids I know, he got socks and T-shirts, a couple of them. 3 pairs of socks, 3 T-shirts for Christmas. A lot of these families can't afford Thanksgiving. They can't afford to buy a Thanksgiving turkey. They can't afford to travel, to be together. This is standard for people all across America today. I don't think that any of these people want innocent people to suffer. But when you find out that less than 10% of the money that is supposedly been going to help poor people or people in need in foreign countries has actually been reaching those people, when you find out that Angelina Jolie and Sean Penn, these people were paid millions of dollars in taxpayer money by USAID to take trips to Ukraine, so they could do photo ops that could justify hundreds of millions more dollars going to finance a war that nobody believes in, that is absolutely unwinnable, that is costing lives on a daily basis. I mean, it's unconscionable what has been done. And for the Democrats to focus on Elon Musk and to go there with their stupid little pathetic posse. And by the way, it's not just Democrats who have benefited from this system. There is a plethora of Republicans whose hands are as dirty as every single one of those small little people that stood and waited there and staged their protest and went out there. So this is not, I'm not painting this as a partisan thing. They just chose to stand on the wrong side of history. Elon Musk has been given legal authorities by Donald Trump. I haven't, read every contract. All I'm going to say is the Trump administration learned its lesson the last time around. When they were every single thing that they were trying to do was being attacked by this, the other part of this affinity groups who go after them with lawfare and try and shut them down with legal actions. They learned their lesson from that, and they were a lot more careful this time. It doesn't mean that they're foolproof, but they knew what they were doing, and they're making sure that they act with legal authority every step of the way.
1775. Did you know that drinking 2 to 3 cups of coffee daily can reduce your risk of death by 29%? No! And halve your chances of heart complications? No! No! But what's the point if your coffee tastes like it was brewed by someone who thinks soy lattes are the pinnacle of human achievement? 1775 Coffee is here to reclaim coffee from the wokarati. Hand-picked Bolivian beans. Don't be disgusting. That is not a euphemism for, flicking your old. Roasted in the USA, delivering pure single-origin brilliance without a hint of deceit. Every dollar you spend enters you to win a blacked-out 2024 Tesla Cybertruck plus $30,000 of cash. Head to 7075. Yes, a Cybertruck, a modern-day Ark, ready to navigate the floods of uncertainty. Is this a metaphor? Was the Ark a metaphor? With the strength to carry you through any of life's trials. Head to 1775coffee.com, stock up and fuel your mornings with rebellion. Use this code for 15% off. Don't miss your chance to drive off in a Cybertruck. If Trump's declaration that Gaza could be occupied and developed is perhaps the kind of rhetoric that defines the fears of MAGA Trump's opponents, that he could be a megalomaniac, unbridled influence on global politics, is an idea like USAID the kind of pinnacle of that kind of globalist neo-left politics that preceded it? I.e., because we're so philanthropic, we're going to tax you. Because we're better than you, we're going to make moral choices for you. We're going to invest in ideas that you don't believe in, and you're going to fund it and pay for it. And it won't just be philanthropic and humanitarian altruistic causes. It will be, to some degree, participating in the 2014 coup. It will be funding foreign news organisations like the BBC who have received USAID contributions. Do you feel, Neil, that USAID is one of the defining initiatives of the type of politics that appears to be dying with the advent of MAGA-style nationalist populism?
The statement amongst many that was made about USAID in the last few days or the last week or so that really knocked me up, knocked my socks off, was that it had a bigger budget than the CIA.
Because it's a front for the CIA, Neil.
Yes.
That's why.
Absolutely.
Everybody knows USAID has been a front for the agency for a long time, and so is the State Department.
And the fact that it's so simple, that the fact that AID, everybody reads it as aid, and it's like puppies, everyone likes aid, but that it's actually the Agency for International Development. It's, the acronym doesn't stand for what you might be invited to think when you see US aid, and that it was bigger budget than the CIA, that it was a front for the CIA, and that it was understood around the world. I think possibly people in America maybe came late to the understanding, but it was understood all around the world as a front for the CIA. And people on the right and people on the left had grown very, very suspicious of it. The fact that USAID involvement in Cuba under the auspices of helping with AIDS and HIV, but at the same time they were really just trying to pull people in to foment a colour revolution against the regime, and that you had people like the right-wing president of El Salvador. You don't want anything to do with that kind of operation because we know they're at it and we know what they're up to. In the same week that the leftist president in Mexico was saying the same thing, so that people on the right or left of the political spectrum around the world were saying, no, USAID is a cover. It's all about fomenting regime change. It's all about fomenting colour revolutions and all of the rest of it. Go into a country in Africa and promise to irrigate the fields, but we really know what it's all about. And America and myself, you come late to admittedly come late to the game in understanding what these things are all about. And I think it is a potentially, as Russell, you were teeing it up as a matter of enormous significance that Donald Trump, in his first few days in office, has shut the HQ and pulled the plug on it. But as I heard Mike Benz, who amazes me with his every broadcast, Mike Benz, I heard him saying earlier today or yesterday, I can't remember, saying that it's been, although the HQ's been shut down, it's potentially the case that everything that USAID were seeking to do has now just been taken under the wing of the State Department. That the ideology may have gone nowhere, and that the objectives may have gone nowhere, and that the funding may just have been redirected so that it's now in the State Department. Mike Benz was saying, in which case it would make Marco Rubio the most powerful Secretary of State in history, because of the international reach that it would give him potentially. So again, it's one of these ones that it's too early. Everything I think we've been saying tonight about everything, apart from Lily Phillips, has been about you have to wait and see. It's just too early to tell exactly what is meant by what, on one reading of it, may be a truly momentous decision.
Hey, thanks for watching. If you want to see more uncensored content where free speech can flourish, join our live stream. Click the link right here to watch the next video if you want to, or become a member of a growing movement. Download the Rumble app and you'll be informed every time we make a new piece of content. Stay free.